Hi, Sheldon. Good to see you back. Just give us, if you could, give us an idea of what the past 10 days have been like for you and what you were thinking as you stepped back onto the ice today.
Yeah, well, it was obviously a pretty quiet 10 days. One which I would say of the 10, I probably had 5 or so that were pretty tough days. But the last little bit just been about kind of using the time to recharge and recover. And then, today just really happy to be back with the group again and on the ice. And it's been certainly different, but it's been unique and good in its own way of, keeping a distance and monitoring things and communicating with the coaches and watching practices remotely through our live stream. So, I had that experience, but certainly nice to be back in the mix today.
So it sounds like this hit you hard, Sheldon.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, to the point that you really don't want to do a whole lot other than, rest and recover. I would say I had a good 4 days of some flu like symptoms there, and we got through that, and then just more head cold type stuff from there. So I wouldn't say too serious, but certainly wasn't comfortable all the way through it.
Thanks.
Next up, we'll go to David Alter with the Hockey News. Go ahead, David.
Hey, Sheldon. Good to see you back. How difficult was it when you're going through that to take the coach's hat off? Because even when there are days off, you're still kind of always thinking about the game. So kind of where were you able to kind of balance the don't think about everything and focus on getting rest, but also trying to be ready for what lies ahead? Yeah,
I mean, it became pretty easy fairly quickly. So when I was told I was positive initially, I almost didn't believe it or didn't want to believe it because I felt okay at that time, and we were preparing to play against Vancouver that night. And I felt fine to do so, so you're a little bit surprised that you were positive at that time. But I would say within the next 24 hours after that, the doctor, our team doctor, medical director here, Dr. Noah Foreman, had told me to, just forget about being a coach of the Leafs for a period of time and just worry about myself and getting better. And I thought, easier said than done, but then it hit me hard enough to the point that you really just were focused on getting better and resting. So from that side of it, and the fact that we had no hockey to prepare for that period of time, it made it a little bit easier. But certainly over the last number of days here now that we've been ramping back up and getting players back in the building and players are recovering and, we have practices to prepare for, I was able to do my part from a distance and fortunate that we have great staff that could pick up the slack.
When we last talked to you in Vancouver, you were mentioning how, you wanted to be home in time for the holidays. Everybody did. And there was already a wave kind of going around the league. Kyle told us a story about how difficult it was getting home. Was there that concern? Did it run through your mind at all, in addition to everything else you were dealing with?
Yeah, those concerns were there for sure. They were put at ease pretty quickly. In Kyle reassuring all of us that they were going to do everything in their power to get us home safely and quickly. We had a little bit of a hiccup there with it, but I heard about some other stories around the league of teams that had found ways to get players home. So felt confident that it was going to be able to happen. We just had to be patient. But as it turned out, a little bit of a delay in staying in Vancouver, I think ended up being a pretty good thing, as that was probably where most of us, were the most sick. And we're certainly happy to get home. Traveling home on a red eye was not the easiest in terms of getting your sleep, but it was definitely happy to be able to get back and be out of the hotel and be back in familiar territory.
Next up, we'll go to Rosie DiMano with Toronto Star. Go ahead, Rosie.
Hi, Sheldon. Happy to see you back. You have a few days here to practice and get the team back in a groove, but you were coming off a period where the team was playing so well. what is the challenge right now of trying to get back to that point, particularly when you might not have all your core players at hand?
Yeah, it's a challenge for sure. One that, a number of teams are doing it around the league. Or it seems like forever ago, we played against Edmonton and played a very strong game and got a good road win and felt like we were setting ourselves up, for a good road trip. No action since then. And, at that time we had talked about the Calgary game being postponed was going to provide us an opportunity to get back-to-back practice days in Vancouver for the first time the entire season. And as it turned out, the second practice ended up getting canceled. And ultimately, as we know, the game got postponed and we haven't, really been at it since, say for these last couple of days. So, we're now just trying to find what's best for the players and what they need. We're not thinking too much about what we had done up until this point, because I think this is so unique. Talking to some of the players, that were coming out of 10 days in quarantine and then stepping on the ice for the first time, a lot of the comments were saying, that it actually felt worse than the first day of training camp. Just because at least when you're going into training camp, you've been on the ice every day and you've been ramping up towards that. But going from, isolation to stepping on the ice and going to an NHL practice, that's the challenge. So now that we're 3 days through here for most of the players, they're back to feeling good. And we felt confident that they would get it back quickly. It just was going to be a rough time for them. But now we have the challenge of, today, for example, with Brody, Dermott, and Campbell, you get 3 players. It's day 1 for them, despite it being day 3 for many others, and day 2 for Spets and Simmons. So, we're going to have more guys that'll come back later in the week here. So we've got to kind of find ways to get them up to speed and put them in positions to succeed in terms of ramping back up at a time when the rest of the group is already there. So we've got to manage that in terms of the individuals. But certainly the expectation is, we're going to take an off day tomorrow here now for those that have skated 3 days in a row. And then we'll come back and get those back-to-back practices again before the first. So we like the way that sets up, but I think, we know how we want to play and how we need to play as a team and what we've been successful with. We just got to make sure we're intelligent about how we get our players back to that point. We have more than enough time to do it.
If I could just ask quickly, Sheldon, if I may, when you came back and you weren't feeling well, did you have to physically remove yourself from your family?
In my case, I did go home. Actually, while we were away for the 8 or 9 days, whatever it was, we were out west. One of my kids actually tested positive as well here. So we're not sure whether it was school or with his own hockey team where there were cases. But our family was already kind of in isolation inside our house as it was. So I went into that environment and we were able to be together, but separately and in isolation. So it was definitely different and unique, but found our way through it as a family, and we were able to spend Christmas together, but still falling within that window. We were wearing masks inside our home, which felt a little bit strange, but that's the times that we're living here, and we're happy that now that myself and my son are through it. My son had no symptoms, and my wife and older son have seems like they've got through it well here and have stayed negative. So we're happy about that.
Next up, we'll go to Jonas Siegel with The Athletic. Go ahead, Jonas.
Hey, Sheldon, with everything you were mentioning about some of the guys coming back, how do you want to kind of make use of this week before your next game?
Yeah, it's sort of what I was alluding to. We've spent these last 3 days, which the focus has really been about getting the guys back going again. We've dropped in a little bit of structure here and there. Yesterday, I had a bit of a 5-on-5 scrimmage for a short period of time just to get them in the feel of just, playing with 9 other players out there. So it's really just about getting them back up to go to speed and getting their bodies feeling good again. As I was saying, we've got some guys that have felt excellent now here after 3 days. talk to, Dermot, Brody, these guys coming back for their first day. That's a tough day for them out there. Spets yesterday, same thing. And Simmer. We purposely, made Jack Campbell's day shorter here today to make sure that we didn't give him too much too soon. So it was a good day for him that way. But really, these 3 days were about getting guys up to speed. And then we're going to take tomorrow off for majority of the group here that's been skating as much as they have this week. And then they'll give us 2 days to really focus on getting back ready to play games again. So that's really how we've approached it. And I like the way that it sets up. I think that, the decisions are made for various reasons, not all to do with our team, but the fact that these games have been postponed this week, I think really sets things up well for majority of our players in terms of them having ample time to come back safely and be prepared.
And last one here, we'll go to Kristen Chilton with ESPN. Go ahead, Kristen.
Hey, Sheldon. When we spoke to Kyle, he said he felt like the group was maybe a little bit on edge after the cancellations and everybody testing positive. I just wonder, what is the mood like now that more players are coming back and you're sort of getting back into a rhythm? Does it still feel like guys are a little on edge just with how everything is going in the league and the world at large, I suppose?
I feel, Kristen, like my first day back here, and I feel like the vibe is good. And that guys are really just happy to be back together again. I think they're put a little more at ease here now that we've had so many players and staff that have either gone through it and returned, or players that are going to be coming back here in short order. And also just a little bit of peace of mind that they themselves, even if you didn't test positive, have maybe through a window of time here now where you feel like you might be in the clear. And I know, our players and staff have done a good job. It's been difficult because of Christmas, because it's so important to spend time with your family, but guys have been smart about, they're on edge and on guard in terms of what's going on around us here again. So they've done their part that way. I know it has, whether you're positive or not, I've actually said to some people, I obviously for myself, you get sick and that's uncomfortable for a period of time. But there's also, I think, for those of us that were on our traveling group that were not positive, I'm sure there's a lot of anxiety that goes along with that, right? You're waiting for yourself to when's my turn kind of thing. That in itself is uncomfortable. So it's not an easy time for anybody for what we've been through here as a group. We were very fortunate. Really, it's been about a year, really, where we went with no cases at all within our organization. And now it's hit us here, like it has so many other teams. So I'm happy with how we've come out of it. We've received terrific care in terms of the advice we've been given, the guidance we've been given, and just how things have been coordinated from our medical team has been top notch, as we've come to expect, and gives me confidence that we're going to continue to come out of this well.